Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Money is Emotional podcast. I am your host, Christine Luken. Today's episode is called Who is the Merchant Priestess? You might have noticed that I've changed my title from Financial Dignity Coach to the Merchant Priestess. And maybe you're wondering why. Don't worry, I still offer financial dignity coaching. But to say that I'm only a financial dignity coach feels limiting to me now. The Merchant Priestess encompasses more of who I am, both personally and professionally. So let's dive into how the title of Merchant Priestess came to me and what it represents. I hesitated to include the origin story, how the phrase merchant priestess came to me, because it's more than a little strange. It involves an Akashic Records reading and past lives in Egypt. And as you hear that, I suspect you're having one of two reactions. It's either, oh, hell no, I'm turning this off, or, oh my God, I love this. Tell me everything. Honestly, I'm okay with either of these reactions because your opinion of me is honestly none of my business. I am done editing myself or toning myself down for the comfort of others. And I hope that you will do the same. When I traveled to Sedona for a retreat last May, I met a woman named Amanda Romano. Her presence drew me in immediately, and she was wearing a large gold ankh necklace. I've been enthralled with Egypt since I was a little kid. I even purchased a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead at the mall bookstore when I was in junior high. I had zero clue what it said, but I knew I had to have it. Back to Amanda. She facilitated a shamanic journey for our Sedona retreat, and afterward, she offered us the opportunity to book an Akashic Records reading with her for a special price, and I said yes. A few weeks after the retreat, I had my reading with Amanda. She revealed what she saw in terms of themes for my life and how they tied into past lives in both Egypt and Europe. In all of your timelines, she said, you are both merchant and priestess. You are adept at making and managing money, and you are deeply connected with the divine. You are the merchant priestess. Now, I'd never heard those two terms together in that way before, and honestly, I had never used either of those terms to describe myself. So, of course, being the word nerd that I am, I had to go to the online dictionary and look them up. The definition of merchant is quite simple. A person who buys and sells goods or services for a profit. A merchant is just another word for businesswoman or businessman, entrepreneur, or even investor. You might think this is weird, but I knew that I was going to be a businesswoman from age 5. I asked my parents for a briefcase, not a Barbie, for Christmas in 1978. The blue plastic briefcase contained a toy typewriter, a telephone, a switchboard, a clock, and a few other things. I remember taking that blue briefcase with me to my dad's work, which I loved going to work with him. I got to write on the chalkboard. I would photocopy my hand. I filled out old forms which I put all in my briefcase, and I loved everything about business. I also loved managing money from a very young age. I was an excellent saver, and I filled up my big red plastic piggy bank so full of change that my little 5-year-old arms could barely lift it up. My first real job in high school was bookkeeping for my dad's then budding business, which has now been around for close to 40 years now, uh, the summer between my junior and senior years. I remember reconciling 6 months' worth of his business bank statements in between answering phones and opening mail. I've been a bank teller, a bill collector, an accountant, the VP of HR and Finance, and the founder of Seven Pillars LLC, my financial education and coaching company that I started back in 2010. Although I might not have used the word merchant to describe myself in the past, I clearly am one and have been one for quite some time. Now, the definition of priestess, it's a woman who is a priest, a woman who serves as a spiritual leader, officiates sacred rites, and guides her community. As a kid, I distinctly remember this. I was about 8 years old. I remember telling my mom that I wanted to be a priest. She told me that only men can be priests, but I could be a nun. That's not fair. I don't want to be a nun. I want to be a priest. I want to change the bread and wine into Jesus. So I did the next best thing, and I put on my very best bathrobe. I roped my little brother into being my altar boy, and I made my parents be my congregation. I delivered them a homily and gave them communion. So I made up my own rules and decided that if I couldn't be a priest for real, that I was going to at least pretend that I was a priest at home. Now, growing up in the Catholic Church, I loved all of the rituals. The processions, the candles, the incense, the call and response. But I didn't feel close to the judgmental God in the sky who was poised to smite me for my sins. I loved Jesus. I mean, he seemed pretty cool. And I always felt close to Mother Mary. In junior high, my rosary was one of my prized possessions. Now, after a 7-year hiatus from church in my late teens and early 20s, I started attending a non-denominational church. It was exactly what I needed at the time because I had just exited a toxic relationship and I was rebuilding my life, my finances, and my confidence. I love the community, the plain English explanation of Jesus's teaching, and the 40 different translations of the Bible that I never knew existed. I ended up, after a few years, in leadership positions, running the Financial Peace University classes, facilitating Bible studies, and speaking at women's events. There were even women pastors who were preaching on stage, which I loved. At one point, I thought I might even attend that denomination's version of Bible college. But there were still restrictions on women in that church that just didn't sit very well with me. Now, it's been about 3 years since I've been to a church service outside of weddings and funerals because I have decided that the world is my church and my religion is love. I don't need a middleman to stand between God and me. I spend the first hour of my day at my altar, connecting with divine source. I decided to anoint myself as the priestess of my own life. Yes, I do still seek out spiritual guidance from trusted mentors from time to time. However, God is the final authority in my life, not man nor woman. To me, being a priestess means being vitally connected to God all day, every day, no matter what you call him or her. There is no longer any separation between the secular and the sacred for me. My whole life is lived in sacred devotion, and I bring God into everything that I do, especially my business and money. This is why I find myself having outgrown the label of financial dignity coach. Yes, I still offer financial dignity coaching, but my profession is now that of the merchant priestess. So, who is the merchant priestess? And if I am her, what does that mean for me and my business? After marinating on this for a few months, I received a download at my altar of what I am calling the creed of the merchant priestess. Here it is. The merchant priestess is a warrior of light. I wield my financial power with precision, responsibility, and grace. I dedicate my money to a higher purpose, creating financial miracles for myself, my family, and the world. The merchant priestess does not live in poverty, nor shun prosperity, for I am the beloved daughter of the divine. My body is the temple, and I adorn it accordingly, curating with devotion. I create beauty and lushness in my life and my home. The merchant priestess is a woman of substance in all the ways, spiritually, intellectually, socially, and financially. I am radically and responsibly generous. When the divine tells me to move, I move. All of life is a ceremony, including my financial endeavors. I bring the holy temple with me wherever I go. The merchant priestess creates financial systems and structures that are both supportive and expansive. I manage money as a spiritual technology. I know that by bringing sacredness to my finances, I activate miraculous multiplication codes, mastering money to infuse it with a pure divine energy for the benefit of all. People cannot help but feel spiritually expanded when they transact with the merchant priestess in any way, both the buyer and the seller, the giver and the receiver. I am the merchant priestess. She is me. Yes, you are feeling the pull, aren't you? So what is the merchant priestess path? It is a 13-week live experience that blends merchant mastermind sessions and priestess temple ceremonies. In the merchant mastermind sessions, we'll discuss the money management methods of millionaires. I will be opening my personal finances to show you how I manage a $7 million net worth. These confidential conversations are not happening anywhere else in my business except with my one-on-one clients. In the Priestess Temple ceremonies, we'll be experiencing a variety of spiritual modalities designed to strengthen your connection with the divine. This isn't about religion. It's about the relationship you have with your sacred self and divine source, whether you call it God, Jehovah, Goddess, or the universe. We'll experience the holy anointing oils, activating breath work, sacred somatic movement, ancestral healing, crystal energy, and more. I'm bringing in the best facilitators, guest priestesses, if you will, for each of these powerful ceremonies. It is going to be the most amazing co-creation for everyone who participates. If you are feeling the pull, trust it. The registration link is in the show notes. Well, my friend, this is where I leave you for today. If you listened to this episode and you felt a sacred pull toward the Merchant Priestess path, then I invite you into the inaugural round of this magical live experience. We start on July 13th. And as always, I appreciate you sharing the Money is Emotional podcast when something resonates for you. Until next time, this is Christine Luken, the Merchant Priestess, reminding you that you're good enough, you're powerful enough, and yes, people love you, including me. Bye for now.